Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday, April 15th. I hope you all are doing well today. I told you again, I am playing with my times just a little bit to see what is the best time. And I think between 10 and 10:30 has been the best. So good morning to everybody. I hope you all are having a great morning. Good morning. Hey girl, hey. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Vegas. You were the number one person in here. Good morning, Bar and Dog. Good morning, everybody coming in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Donate to the coffee fund if you see so fit, even though I am drinking tea today. Shout out to my mom for my what do you call this, a tumbler type thing. And my mom was in my bushes yesterday. She watches my show and she sent me a message that said, you did a really good job. So thanks, Mom. She might be watching now, not sure, but hey girl, hey, I'm bothered. Yes, she did. She watches my show. She said I did really good. So I'm trying not to, I'm not going to curse a lot in case she's watching. Yes, it makes my heart warm when my mom watches it and says that I do a good job. I love that. That means a lot. She's a very smart woman. And there's nothing better than to make your parents proud, right? So I love that. Yes, even at 42 years of age, it still makes me feel good that my mom is proud of something that I'm producing. So we've got a couple of topics today. It is a beautiful day here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is great. As you can see, I have my wash and go. Is finals. I'm heavily in finals right now. So, and I think I'm going to kind of do this look for the summertime. I think this is going to be my look for the summertime, guys. So bear with me. I have 2 semesters left. I will walk across that stage as I'm preparing for the LSAT, then take the LSAT, apply for actual law school, and then be off to the races of that. So I'm so excited about that. I've been deep diving. I'm nervous, right? I'm really nervous because I think anything that you really want to do well, you are nervous about, definitely, for sure, right? So that's just a little morning spew about me. I want you guys to be able to connect to me on a more personal level to understand I'm a real person too, right? I'm a real person too, that goes through things and relatability. And if you were here last week, I said, for any of you guys that are wanting to go back to school, that are wanting to make, career changes, want to go after a goal, you're never too old to do it. Go after it, obtain it, and make sure you're doing it for you. It is something that you want to do, no matter how long it may take you. Your future self will thank yourself today for it. Because especially if you have children, it's all about leaving a legacy that they can be proud of and reap the benefits of it as well. So anyway, here we go. Politics in plain English. We talk current political events and explain what's happening, why it's happening, and what it actually means. Okay. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're just going to do a couple of highlights of some things, and then we're going to do a deep dive in the Epstein files because I've made some connections there. I told you guys I've been, you should take sign language classes. That would be so dope. That would really be dope. You should take sign language classes. Good morning, Brown Sugar. You should really take sign language classes. That is another language. You should definitely take it. Actually, for those that don't know, my son is autistic, and he's moved out of the nonverbal category, but we sign. His SLP actually talks to him in sign language, so he actually is very good at it. But he's talking in sentences and things like that now. So, but go after it. I think you should, even if you do one class at a time, like slowly. Good morning, OG Beauty. How are you? Anyway, all right, let's get going. We're going to do some high level things. First thing we're going to, you have a number. See, my son didn't start saying his first words until he was about 6.5. So hang in there. It'll get better. And if you got a device, get a device, and always the small wins are big wins for us. Okay. So my hat goes off to you. Hang in there. Hang in there. That's all I can say. My son's 10 now and he won't be quiet. Right. So what are we going to talk about? Good morning. Good morning. All right. So first thing this morning, the Diddy case. Because what I am also going to do, I'm also going to talk about politics, but we're also going to talk about, yes, my son goes to ABA as well. We're also going to deep dive into like court cases, right? Like court cases that are very interesting, right? I think this is important too, so we can learn the nuances of the judicial system, right? So if y'all remember when the jury came back with its verdict, I did a live on it and explained why I thought they got it right and why I thought the prosecution got it wrong, right? So let me give you a little review here. The prosecution was trying to charge him for a RICO, right? They were trying to charge him for a RICO. He got found guilty of the Mann Act. What is the Mann Act? The Mann Act is pretty much paying for prostitutes. That's pretty much what it is like, right? So I said that the prosecution overplayed their hand because they kept zeroing in on baby oil, baby oil, baby oil, baby oil, right? And there was no crime in using baby oil. And it's actually no crime of the sex acts that he was doing because the girls, men and women, kept returning, right? And they were getting paid for it and they were enjoying the access, right? Can't say all parts of the access, but some level of the access they were enjoying at some point in time, right? The problem was his violence towards Cassie, but it had reached the statute of limitations. So they couldn't really charge him for that. They could just frame him as this monster. They did a really bad job at framing him as this monster because as they had Cassie on the stand, Cassie still was calling him after the fact, even years after their separation. Even she had moved on with the trainer and married him. It was hard to prove that, right? It was hard to see the damages. It was hard to connect him to being a monster to her, even though we saw the video of her abusing him. And I'm completely against that. Like, that was trash of his. But anybody from New York, we already knew what Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Mr. Love, whatever he likes to call himself was, right? So remember I said that I felt like the judge was overreaching as well when it came time to sentencing. And here's why. Because the Mann Act, you cannot throw someone in jail for things that they were found not guilty of. Okay. And that's really what the judge did. The judge acted as a 13th juror in the sentencing part. Okay. So really and truly, for the Mann Act, he really probably was only supposed to see a little time, if no time, like maybe supervised release, meaning house arrest or something like that. But 50 months, that's a bit much. So, of course, they filed a motion for an appeal. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Aggie Pride. Of course, they filed a motion for an appeal. And they actually presented to the judge 3 days ago, about this, right? And when they presented to the judge literally said what I said. The judge literally said that the sentencing judge acted as a 13th juror, and you're not supposed to do that. Okay. You're not supposed to do that. Welcome everybody coming in. Please like, share, and subscribe as you're coming in. Make sure you speak to somebody. Hey, y'all make them, all my members, make everybody comfortable in here. Okay. But you're technically not supposed to overreach and over sentence somebody. And this judge said this is exactly what has happened. What does that translate to? Diddy is going to come home. Diddy also, because he's a first-time offender, he falls underneath the First Step Act, which means for every month that is served, he gets 10 to 15 days off his sentence every month, right, of good behavior, right? Also, if they put him in what is called the RDAP The RDAP program, that can take a year off once he completes the program, right? Because he said he had a drug habit, which was proved, things of that nature. That takes a year off his sentence as well, right? But with this new revelation that this judge stated that the sentencing was egregious and did not fit exactly what he was found guilty of, what is now going to happen is and we know his lawyers are smart because he has Brian Steele as one of his attorneys. And if you don't know who Brian Steele is, good morning, Phoebe. If you don't know who Brian Steele is one of the very few, thank you, Kimberly Black. Brian Steele is one of the very few federal attorneys that have beat the feds. He is one of the very few that have beat the feds, right? And we can have our personal feelings about Diddy. You know what I'm saying? I never really cared for him whatsoever. None of those things. We can have our personal feelings about him, but the law is the law, right? So, and remember who the law was really written for, but I digress. We'll talk about that later. The law is the law. He only was found guilty of the Mann Act, meaning flying somebody across border, cross state lines, and paying for sex. That's what it is. But what if people do not want him to return back into society? It's not up to people. It's the letter of the law. It's not up to people. It is literally the law. So as much as we want somebody to stay behind bars, as much as we think they should have this, and that, what does the law say? And the judge is there to abide by the law. Okay. And pretty much the sentencing did not match the guilty verdict for what he was guilty for. And what I think, after looking at the files, what I think is now Brian Steele will file a motion to either have him have time served, because remember, he was in jail for quite some time before his trial actually happened. I think they will time served, and he will be on home confinement. He will also have to take a drug test once a week. And I think he will have to have lots of criminal, yes, the law it failed in this case. The prosecution failed in this case. And I'm going to tell you why the prosecution failed in this case. The prosecution failed in this case because there was no RICO to begin with. It was no RICO to begin with. It was no RICO. There was no RICO here. And had they zeroed in they did a poor job of even trying to build a RICO case because they rushed it, right? They rushed it. It takes years upon years upon years to build a RICO case, number one. Number two, they probably could have found other things, right, to get him on, but they didn't. But there was no RICO whatsoever. Like them going after a RICO and using baby oil, what they should have did is they should have looked at wire fraud and witness tampering and things of that nature, because he was already paying a lawyer. He was paying the lawyer of Jane Doe, which we all know that is 50 Cent's baby mama. What they should have did was showed how he used Home Enterprise to funnel money to not only get his drugs, and that the drugs were used at these sex parties, but also to pay off the prostitutes. That's how they should have webbed that, right? And I think that they would have had a better outcome than what they're about to see now. Hey, girl. Hey, hey, everybody coming in. Again, listen, Spade, I'm not here to argue with you. The law is the law. At the end of the day, I might not be happy with the law, but the law is the law. Period, point blank. Okay. Period, point blank. Well, Kim, the problem is they didn't do a good job. Listen to what I'm saying. They didn't do a good job at showing. They zeroed in so much on the baby oil that the judge had to say, can we move on from the baby oil? And that's a bad sign. When the judge says, hey, we need to move on from the baby oil, that is an awful sign. That means, okay, wrap it up. You keep saying the same thing over and over, just 12 different ways. And it's just, the math is not mathing. Okay, that's what that means. Everybody has their own personal opinion, but at the end of the day, the law is the law. And if the prosecutors did a horrible job at presenting this case. They did a terrible job. They did an awful, awful, awful job putting this case together. And this will be, I think this will be looked at in retrospect, and it will be definitely a learning curve for those lawyers. And those lawyers weren't as seasoned as normal prosecutors are that are trying a RICO case for that. So he'll be coming home soon. I do believe he will be coming home soon. Mark my words. I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'm going to watch for the next court date to see what else this judge has to say. But the judge was spot on when they said that he was sentenced to things that he wasn't even found guilty for. Okay. He was sentenced to things that he wasn't found guilty for. So that's that on the Diddy update. And I'm going to try to find other cases. And if it's other cases you guys want me to look at, please drop it in my comments underneath the video, and I will look into them and we can discuss them together. Okay. So there's that on that. Good morning. Good morning, everybody coming in. All right. So we already know, let's move on. Let's cross the road to politics, right? We already know Donald Trump is still lashing out at the Pope. Okay. We already know, yes, the judge is allowed to use facts presented in the case, but they're not allowed to overstep sentencing when it's not. We'll dig in that later, but yes and no, they are allowed to use the facts presented in the case to make their judgment. However, the sentencing has to go towards their guilty charge. Pushaisi is crazy. Pushaisi, but Gucci Man always want to talk about, you said the Pushaisi and Gucci Man. Put that down in my comments, like once the live is over with, put it in the comments and we'll look at that case. I'll definitely dig into that case. That's something else that other people have been, talking about heavily. Just let me know. Even Larry Reed, right? He's got a case going on, and Bernard Jordan. We can dig into that. You're welcome. No problem. We can dig into that too together. The church is a messy place, ain't it? Shout out to all my church sector folk out there. St. James, Miss Cruiser, Sean Talk Too Much. They always are in my, they always in here in the cloud somewhere. Shout out to them. Please make sure that y'all go and visit their channels if you're into the church mess, because they be doing some stuff, okay, over there. They are hilarious. King Jives, they are hilarious to me. I love watching them. But anyway, let's move on to Ratlanta. Exactly. Let's move on to Donald Trump. We know he's spiraling out of control. We know gas prices are not going to get any cheaper. We know the Strait of Hormuz is closed. It's shut down to pretty much everybody, even though China did get some of their stuff through there, but that's another conversation for another day. We know that the last tanker of oil will be reaching the United States today, right? So what does that mean for us? That means we will run out of gas pretty soon here. Refined oil. People say, oh, we've got oil. Yeah, but we don't have refined oil, and it takes time to refine oil. And we don't have the amount of refineries that other countries do, right? Like how we seize the oil from Venezuela. Venezuela does not have refined oil. So the problem is, it's not something that we could use, right? So we've got all of these things going on. Now they are sending more troops over there. They're sending more ships over there. At the same time that they're sending more ships, Donald Trump is claiming that the war is almost over. And I told you guys, what does he do? He says these things right before the market opens so that the futures look good, right? Because for whatever reason in his peon of a brain, he feels like the stock market pays our bills. He feels like the stock market tells us that people have extra money to go out to eat. He feels like the stock market tells them that people have extra money to buy plane tickets and go on a vacation with their family of four. This is what they're doing. And Dave Recker, you can say that I'm wrong in all, categories, but carry on, boo. Everybody's free to have their own opinions here. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can exit stage left. But thank you for the click and a view. I appreciate it. But please watch your tone in my chat. Okay. You can be you can be objective, but be respectfully objective. Be objective with facts and not Fox News facts. Anyway, so the problem is he's sending mixed messages, right? He's sending mixed messages, and his party is in his party is. Can y'all take Dave Recker out of here, please? Thank you so much. And I didn't disrespect the president. He's your president, but he's very disrespectful in here. Let me go ahead and get these folks up out of here. No problem. Thank you for coming in here. Okay. Thank you guys for your click and a view. We appreciate you, but we don't tolerate certain things over here. Thank you, baby. Thank you. We don't tolerate certain things over here. If you don't like the commentary, then skedaddle right on. See, here's the problem. And let me go ahead and check a few people real quick while I'm here, while I'm in my, let me reach into my bag, right? So here's the problem with you Trump loving sycophants. Y'all always come, to spaces and places that you're not even that you don't even like to be. We don't come to y'all's rallies and come in here and try to kick your door down. Go to the spaces and places of the things that you like what they're saying. Go to the spaces and places that you believe in what they're saying. Go to the spaces and places where you feel loved and you feel acknowledged. Stop coming into spaces and places where we are actually stating facts and actual truths, and we're not making up grandeur of delusions. Okay, go to spaces and places, right, that are agreeance with your racist, misogynistic, sexist, falsified, false reality of truth, right? Go to those places like Fox News. Go to the state media of propaganda, of falsehoods. Go there because here's the real reality. The real reality, you're really not winning. Okay. The real reality, you really are not winning. The real reality is under every GOP administration, we have always went into a recession. And the real reality is numbers don't lie. Please go check them, Google them, since you like to be on here with be a finger thug on your keyboard. Go look on Google and see for yourself that underneath a Democratic administration, we've always had job growth, not a decrease in job. Right now, we don't even have anybody that can report on the job growth because there is none. Okay, we can't even, we have no GDP growth. We have no job growth. We're losing tens of thousands of jobs on a monthly basis, while meanwhile, the elite 1% are sitting high, flying in their private jets and eating lobster tail off of our tax-paying dime because they're not paying taxes at all, while your gas is almost $4 a gallon, while your milk is almost $10 for a gallon, while your bread is almost $8 for a loaf of bread, while you can't even pay your electricity bill because energy is on the rise, while your water is no longer safe to drink as it was many years ago. Please tell me how you're winning while your healthcare is being decreased and while your premium is being increased and while DoorDash grandma got to empty out her savings to take care of her ailing husband. That's what's going on. And that is the difference between us over here and you guys over there. We stick to the facts and state the truth. Okay. That's what we do. All right. That's exactly what we do. So by all means, go somewhere where you are appreciated. Okay. Go somewhere. Go somewhere that you're appreciated. Exactly, Debbie. Go somewhere where you're appreciated. Don't come over here and heckle my people, the people that actually are living in reality. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway. Thank you. I just had to say that because they was coming in here and, they want to attack the people that's in here or whatever who are actually thinkers. Because here's the thing. Progressive means thinkers. Child, they are. You see them? You see them, honey. You see them. You see them in there, Lucky. You see them. They in here. They in here, ain't they? They in here. In here. I'm touching nerves. That's why they out here. They're like they in here. They can't take it. But meanwhile, they probably had three teeth in their head and three teeth in their head and dirty feet. So it is what it is. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So we know that Donald Trump is deranged because all night long he was making posts about the Pope, right? And so for these evangelicals, I want to hear, I've listened to all of the, oh, we're going to forgive him. Oh, we know that's how Trump, we don't like it, but okay, whatever. Whatever, right? Like, whatever. Save it for David. Because we know good and damn well this man has nothing to do, does not love no church. Okay. We know that this man, he didn't even go to church on Easter Sunday. What was he doing? He was riding around in the car that the taxpaying dollars pay for on his phone with that stupid red hat. Okay. That too unbothered for real. That's what we do know, right? We do know that. He held the Bible upside down and told you that his favorite Bible verse is 2 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. Mm-hmm. So you can say that he's Christian loving all he wants. When he was sworn in, he didn't even put his hand on the Bible, and I showed proof of that. But y'all love to say he's a Christian man, even though he came out and said that he was going to wipe out a whole civilization. That is genocide. There's nowhere in the Bible that said genocide is the way to go. Good morning. Of course you walked in on the nonsense. Exactly. He wouldn't even touch the Bible being sworn in. And I showed that picture. Because he loves no one but himself. And he even knows that he's not going to heaven because he keeps saying that he's not going to heaven. Okay. They are going to need mental health care. You're so right about that. You are so right about that. You've got Paula White sitting here talking about God, that Donald Trump is Jesus, is God. Are we okay? Like, are we okay? Are we okay with this? But what we do know is, see, and they love to talk about, compare the Obama administration and the Biden administration and Donald Trump and this and that. But what we do know is when Donald Trump and Joe Biden were in office, neither one of their first ladies Neither one of their first ladies, neither one of those first ladies had to do what? Hold a press conference and say and deny their involvement in a human trafficking ring. That's what we do know. And we're pivoting to this because Donald Trump is being Donald Trump right now. Ain't no new news. We still in the Iran war. Is not real is still doing the bullshit that they're doing, because is not real is not the Israel of biblical times. I keep saying that, standing on it. It is what it is, and you're not going to shake me from that. 3, the economy ain't no better than it was yesterday. Okay? The economy ain't no better than it was yesterday. But I will say this. First Lady Michelle Obama or First Lady Jill Biden, who are highly educated, neither one of them had to hold a press conference and say, I do not know Jeffrey Epstein. And I think that they should be prosecuted to the island, and we should have hearings, public hearings for ICE survivors. This is what we're dealing with, right? This is what we're dealing with. Correct. Oh, they're both traders? Oh, okay. Let me take you out. Trade that. We'll trade you for out of here. Okay. Prote- I agree with this statement right here. I agree with this statement right here because how is it that electoral college is determining the presidency and the popular vote isn't? I agree with this statement right here. I do. And yes, I'm glad that you said this because this is where we go. Okay. This is where we going. We going right here. Okay. But just stick with me real quick. Just stick with me real quick. So what we do know is that during the Obama presidency and the Biden presidency, this didn't happen, right? This didn't happen. Okay. They didn't have to come press conference and say I wasn't involved in any of this, right? And so our first lady claims that she wasn't involved in stuff. Meanwhile, I'm gonna land it for you. Meanwhile, 1999. This is Donald Trump when he was married to his second wife, Marla. Okay. She was being an escort. Remember that. She was being an escort right here. This was 1999. While he's married to Marla, he is hanging out. Well, she's hanging out with him, doing whatever they doing. Right? Doing whatever they doing, right? Follow me here. Now, prior to that, this was the man that brought her to America. And you're wondering who this man is. Does anybody know who this man is? Just take a wild guess. Does anybody know who this man is? This is Polio Zempoli. Polio Zempoli, okay, is an Italian American businessman who immigrated to the United States. And he founded modeling agencies. He became a close friend of Donald Trump's. He is the one that introduced, supposedly, Trump to Melania in 1998. Okay. Y'all follow me here? Follow me here. Follow me here. He's a friend of Donald Trump. He's also a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. And he's also a friend, yes, he is in the files. He's also a friend of John Casablanca. John Casablanca was found guilty. Well, he's in the files, but we also know he was charged and he had to pay out a lot of payouts for sexual things, right? This is how Melania got introduced to the whole Epstein class. We call them the Epstein class because these are the people that ran in the groups of people, right? Walk with me. Here are the 9 people that are heavily in the files outside of Amanda, and we're gonna talk about Amanda in a second. But you have Paulo, you have Melania, you have Jeffrey, Elaine, Donald Trump, Jean-Luc, Michael Wolff, and John Casablanca. Okay, why is Michael Wolff there? Michael Wolff was writing a book. Okay. Michael Wolff was writing a book. We know Elaine Maxwell was the one to lure the women in. She's just as, if not nastier, than Jeffrey Epstein. And she also participated in sexual things with girls too. Okay. Paulo used his modeling agency with John Casablanca to promise girls these modeling careers, things like that. And they ended up in these sex rings and being trafficked from politicians and passed on. Now, what they're saying is that Paulo didn't introduce Melania to Trump first. Paulo introduced Melania to Jeffrey first. Okay. And so Jeffrey Epstein was close with Michael Wolff because Michael Wolff was writing a book, but Jeffrey Epstein had become a good friend of Michael Wolff through emails. All right. So through these emails, it's shown that Melania I don't know if you guys can really see this, but Jeffrey was talking to Michael Wolff, and he was talking about Melania. And he was talking about Melania said, focused on dates of porn star before birth of Baron or after. They also now have too many people escorting her kids to school. Right? But this is a person who says she does not know Jeffrey Epstein and is not involved in it and is not friends with them, all of these different things. But Jeffrey Epstein is talking to Michael Wolff about her porn star days and things of that nature, right? Follow me. So we have that. So we know Paulo, this is when she first moved, 1998. 1999, she's with Donald Trump, right? Okay, cool. So then we have this young woman right here. Epstein victim Amanda Ungaro, who is now taking legal action against Melania Trump and Donald Trump. She's also the ex-wife of Paulo. You see this web? Okay. She's also the ex-wife of Paulo. They have a child together. So there is no way possible that Melania did not know who Jeffrey Epstein was and wasn't hanging out with them because they were all good friends and would hang out together. And so she stated, maybe you should be afraid of what I know or who you are and who your husband is. I have nothing left to lose in my life. I will tear down the corrupt system. Be careful with me, bish. Okay. It is stated that Amanda and Melania were best friends for 20 years. They partied together, they vacationed together. She even showed proof, because Amanda had been lighting them up on Twitter. She showed proof of her sending her birthday cards, Christmas cards, that, you know, doing things, meeting for dinner, all of this great stuff. So for her to say she doesn't know what's going on and trying to separate herself from it is egregious, is a bold-faced lie. Okay. Bold-faced lie. All right. So now what happens is this guy right here, told Trump, because he also is an ambassador right now in the administration. And he told Trump, hey, I'm having problems out of her. And I need you to deal with her. So what did they do? They sent ICE to her house. They had her detained in I call them concentration camps, but in a detention camp, they had her detained, I think, about 3 months. And what pissed her off is she said, Melania, yes, they are victims, correct. What pissed her off is that she said, Melania, you knew that they detained me and they took my child. And I had to be in that detention center for months. No legal representation, nothing. And they deported her without due process out of the country. Because this guy who brought Melania over here, who is Amanda's now ex-husband, said she's becoming a problem and we need to get her out of here. Okay? We need to get her out of here. So now the broader problem is, because Melania did that presser, whatever you want to call that, it brought the Epstein files back up to the forefront, even though they've never truly went away. But they brought them back up to the forefront, and now is connecting the dots even more, because now, again, Amanda says, I'm ready and I'm talking. And she has a scheduled interview with CNN. And I don't think it's live. I think she already did it and they're probably, editing to air it. And she's a mama. And y'all know mamas, we will scorch heaven's earth. Listen, we will scorch this earth all the way down behind our children. She has no contact with her child. As she stated here, everything has been taken from her. And when you have nothing to lose, that is when you're your most dangerous person. That's when you are the most dangerous person. Okay? That's when you're the most dangerous person. So then you also have this. All four of these folks in a picture, but she says she does not know Epstein. She sent an email to Ghislaine Maxwell talking about Epstein looked good in that magazine, and to let her know when she's in Florida for them to have dinner. That's just not casual conversation. Okay? That there's some sort of relationship there. And it's being said, it's being rumored, allegedly, that these two might have had a little going on. Allegedly. Dinner. Okay. When she's back in New York. Sorry. She said when she come back in New York, give her a call. Okay. All right. Then the internet started doing what the internet does, because then this picture surfaced. Okay, Barn Dog. Then this surfaced, right? This surfaced. This surfaced right here. There you go, barn dog. This surfaced right here. This surfaced. Then the internet started going further and further. And they are claiming that this young lady, don't know if it's true or not, but this is what the internet is saying. Mm-hmm. This young lady right here. Of course, they all say it's AI. Right? That's what they all say. That's what they all say. That's what they all say, right? Then this picture comes up. Don't know how true it is or not. But they're saying that good morning, Sean. I just was talking about you earlier in the live. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to Sean Talk Too Much. If y'all haven't, if one of my mods can grab her link and put it in the chat, she's so funny. She's hilarious. She's over there in the church sector, that messy church sector, and I love it. But anyway, this picture has surfaced, and they're claiming that Melania has 2 children, allegedly. Allegedly, Melania has another child. And they're saying that this child could be their love child, allegedly. And this young lady is a DJ, and she has been seen with some of the elite of the elite that hangs in those circles. We don't know if this is fact, but this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying, that there is a child, because we also know that Donald Trump has a love child too. I don't know if you guys remember that there was the guy at the front of the building, the what do they call him? The bail guy, the security guard. He was about to do a tell-all, and he got paid a certain amount of money from a tabloids. That's how they would, they would smash. It's called smash and grab, where they would grab the case, they would grab the story and then smash it so that it never comes out, because they pay for the rights of the story. Okay. Hey, T. So we know that Donald Trump has a love child with the maid, with one of his maids in there, who is Spanish. Hispanic woman has a love child there. They've all been paid off to be hush money. And we know that there's probably more children out there, because also we know that Jeffrey Epstein was working to reproduce as many children he possibly could. And it's in the documents where he's talking about it. It's in the documents where he's talking about it. Good morning, Sparkle. It's in the documents where he's talking about it. And they even tried to pay Black women for their placentas. And there's video of that actually out, where they're sitting there and they're asking them, how much for for you to produce a baby and us to have your placenta, because they said that the Black woman's genetic pool is so dominant that they needed the Black blood. All of the files haven't been summarized. I shared, and I have to go find it, and I'll drop it on my wall or something. I shared where they're keeping up with the documents, but there's still 2 to 3 million more pages that are out there. Oh yes, Rennie, this is some interesting stuff, right? So they're saying that there's a love child. We know Donald Trump has one, but Epstein had a thing for genetics, and he was trying to reproduce his gene pool to make almost another civilization, which is why he wanted young girls, because he wanted young girls so that he could impregnate them. And this is why, too, they had all these OBGYNs on payroll. They had all these OBGYNs on payroll because not only were they sending them to them because of the STD outbreak that they were having, Bill Gates talked about it. Bill Gates is in the emails because he needed a penicillin shot to take himself and for him to take for himself, and one to give his wife because he had feared that he had caught chlamydia, I believe it was, from one of the models that had been hired. But yeah, just like they had dentists out there too, because some of the women's teeth were actually yanked out of their mouth so that they wouldn't bite their you know what, because that 11-year-old girl that actually got paid off by Epstein, the one that accused of being slapped and groped and things by Donald Trump, she allegedly bit Donald Trump in his, lower regions. Mm-hmm. The devil is in the details, and they're not even going digging deep because it is sick. And we're talking about 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And out there in New Mexico is opening up a case to go on that ranch because they do believe that there are bodies that are buried of young girls. Because out of all these young girls, why do we only see a handful of survivors? Where are the girls? Where are the girls? And what I believe is because of the violent sexual acts, because they were having violent sex with these girls and these young girls at that, they were killing them. Or girls that tried to escape, they were killing them. And they had to bury their bodies somewhere. And we know that girls were pregnant. Where are those babies? Where are those babies? And do I believe Jeffrey Epstein is dead? Absolutely not. Yes. And Debbie, they're stating that there's even younger girls. It's in the files. I believe there was a 9 or 10-year-old in there. I have to go back and look at it because me and my judiciary processing class on our free time, we've kind of been digging through the files ourselves. It gets crazy. One of the girls, they promised that they would pay for her mother's cancer treatment if she signed with John Casablanca, and she ended up getting trafficked. And once she reached the age of 16 or 17, they told her she was too old and they never paid for her mom's cancer treatment. Never did. All of them, what they did was they trained them to be massage therapists, masseuse, which is why they were down there in Mar-a-Lago in the massage parlors, which is why Donald Trump was so upset in saying, oh, you were stealing my girls, because Epstein was a resident down there. And what he would do was go get massages with these young girls and then promise them X, Y, and Z and would take them off. They would leave there, resign from working there, and come and work for him. And Donald Trump was getting upset at that. You're taking my girls from me. But they knew exactly the monster that he was. He had no business being a resident at Mar-a-Lago when you know that this is what he's doing. I know, it's sick, right? And our first lady, 135 times. Vacation 27 times. Hmm. Hmm. But she does not know them like that. It was a cordial relationship. It was casual. She said it was a casual relationship. 135 times dinner, times vacationed. But she doesn't know them. But she does not know them, though. And see, remember when they kept saying that they're going to sue all of these people, right? They were just throwing out this is going to sue all these people. Here's the funny thing about when you decide to sue someone, right? Correct, Sean. Good morning. Here's the thing what people forget about lawsuits. Lawsuits, when you file a motion to sue someone, you sign your name and you swear, right? What happens is there's a thing called discovery, meaning you've got to prove what the other person is saying is incorrect. And we know that the things that Michael Wolff has been saying is very correct because he kept copious notes. What are copious notes, you might add? If you're in the legal world, you know what copious notes are. Copious notes is the moment I finish having a conversation with you, I go and document that conversation in some type of pad, somewhere where I document my conversations. It has the date, the time, where we were, what we were doing, if anybody else was there. This is copious notes. Michael Wolff not only has copious notes, but he has emails. He has travel logs. And this is why they're so fearful of him, because then he said, oh, you want to sue me? Bring it on. The same way they told Hunter Biden they were going to sue him. And everybody thinks that Hunter Biden is crazy and he's sick and that he is this addict that has no sense. Well, if you go and watch that interview, that special with him, he talks about this very thing. He talks about how Melania Trump got over here, how she was in the web of things, how she got passed from Jeffrey Epstein to Donald Trump, and that technically he was never supposed to marry her, but he ended up marrying her. But they want to call my boy crazy. He ain't that crazy. He may did some drugs, but he ain't that crazy. And the reason why they only threw out the threat of a lawsuit is because they know what he's saying is the truth. Because if you say you lying on me and I'm going to sue you, you have to then prove it. And we know that because there is so much out there and there's so much that they don't know that's out there because they have not really been able to really cover their tracks as well as they think that they can or have. Because here's the problem. Here's what's going to happen. The hammer is going to come down on people, right? The hammer is going to come down on people and people are going to start singing a tall tale. This is exactly what's going to happen. But again, we must remember this sex trafficking thing is not new to the United States of America. This is actually what this country was founded upon. Because remember, remember, this is where the original looting started, right? Came over there and was robbing all of this stuff from Africa, including people. This is where the original looting started. All of these minerals, all of this stuff, right? Iron, cotton, uranium, gold, oil, coffee, all of this stuff, right? This is where the original looting started. Then they brought it over to America with 200s of thousands of ships of people. Okay. 200, all of these things. And what happens in slavery? What do? They rape the enslaved and force them to raise their children as well. While the wife knew that they were sleeping with some of the slaves. They knew this. So this is really not new to America, right? It's now the Band-Aid has been ripped off. Because this is why you have slave owners and slaves having the same last name. Because they were having children. And the reason why they were first of all, they were raping them and things of that nature. But the other reason why they were reproducing at such mass rate was because they needed more slaves to be breeded and sold. The younger they are, the stronger they are, the longer they'll live, right? So this is really not new to America. It's just not new to America. It's not. And we've got to stop being, oh my God, and be like, no, this is who we are. This is what this country was founded upon. This country was founded upon stealing, killing, raping, and torture. This is what it was. When you look at it as a mass, what happened? We would have not had a civil war. You know, people, oh, you're lying. Okay, so then why did we have the Civil War then? Yes, World War III is going to be over fresh water and oil. Mm-hmm. And it's also going to be a cyber warfare as well. Because I told you guys yesterday, if you were here yesterday, Texas has 120 data centers. Corpus Christi is running out of water because data centers, you need fresh water to keep it cool. And Corpus Christi will be the first city that runs completely out of water. And just think of what that does to homeowners, to businesses, to just living, period. What does that do? What does that say? But you know, Texas don't give a damn about their people. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are now switched. Please know your history. Okay, please know your history. So there's 120, that's the most data centers that any state has, is in Texas. They're going to run out of fresh water here. This is why so many places have been saying no data centers, because it is eating up our fresh water and is also causing our electricity bills to be higher. Again, another art of greed. Greed. I call the GOP the grifters of politics because this is what is going on. Governor Hot Wheels don't give a damn about them. He don't give a damn about them. They're even stripping having to be a part of a bar association for lawyers. Like, what? So you're not going to have lawyers have any standard? Like, please. That's like telling doctors they don't need to be sworn in and take an oath to do no harm. Correct. There are, I think it's 3 to 4 people that own majority of the mineral rights in the United States of America. We already know that Bill Gates is one of them. Texas is the bluest, reddest state. And the reason why Texas cannot be blue is because of how they have it gerrymandered. Good morning. Hey, Fifi. APAC definitely has to get out of politics. I will agree with you there. APAC definitely has to get out of politics. Hmm. That is exactly why indigenous people have been fighting over waters for years. And another thing, the reason why, and what else has happened? Donald Trump just made it legal for coal. They just rolled back some of the safety measures that they had for coal and mining. That way they can dump into your water and they're going to pollute the water. What do you think that's going to do to our environment? That means that means wherever those coal mines are, those areas are going to be, the air is not going to be healthy, the water is not going to be healthy. That means that there's going to be extended health issues, right? We already have piss poor healthcare. So it's going to be extended health issues, and it's just going to be a wash, rinse, and repeat with this. It is. Yeah, Trump is doing a fantastic job at failing. He's doing a fantastic job at lining his pockets with dollars. Meanwhile, his own constituency is not winning at nothing. They're losing. They're losing their jobs. They're losing wages. They're losing housing because he stripped the VA benefits. Over 10,000 veterans have now went into foreclosure of their homes. Start reading the facts. The cost of taking care of a child has went up over 28%. Start reading your facts. Okay? We have JD Vance making a fool of himself, stating, yeah, Israel needs to raise arms. We need to raise arms. And somebody in the audience said, but that's genocide. And then he goes, yeah, well, God didn't say do genocide. Well, your president just said he wanted to wipe out a whole civilization. That is genocide. You can't have it both ways. And you're a devout Catholic, supposedly. And yet you want to get on the bandwagon of threatening the Pope and telling him he needs to stick to religious matters? This is crazy. Then you have Erica Kirk, who is another grifter in chief, who also used to work for Donald Trump's pageants, Miss America pageants, who I think they knew Charlie Kirk. She picked him to marry him because he had the Turning Point USA and all of this stuff going. He's going around. The only thing I do agree with him is no war and show the Epstein files. That's the only thing that I agree with him with. But then he ends up dead and she ends up being caught, being recorded by the Candace Owens, talking about how much money she made after he died, gleefully, talking about it was the show of the century. They are definitely saying the quiet part out loud. But I will tell you this. This is why voting is so important, right? This is why your governor's race is so important. And you might not like her. But this is where the governor's pen is powerful. Governor Abigail Spanberger ended the tax-exempt statuses for Confederate organizations because they're racist organizations. Okay? They're racist organizations. You know what else she also did? Because to me, why should a racist organization be getting a tax cut? The same way that I do also believe that churches should not be tax exempt either, especially because they're running them like business. Ooh, did I say it? I said it. Abby Spanberger also wrote into law that no longer will they be pretty much participating in the electoral college. What they're going to do is that their electoral vote will go towards the popular vote of the state. And that's what I think states need to start doing, especially these swing states such as Virginia. Oh, John, I'm about to talk about it to you. We about to move there. I'm so glad you said that. She also now, the way that they are going to participate in the electoral college is popular vote. So whatever the popular vote of the state, that's how they cast their electoral college. No longer will it be district over here. No, 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 no. If the popular vote goes to Kamala Harris, if she wins the popular vote in Virginia, that's who the electoral college will go to. And to me, that's how you will upend the electoral college before we go ahead and put a law to dismember the electoral college. That is a smart move, a very smart move, because what happens is a lot of these states, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, are so heavily gerrymandered, it is hard to get the popular voted person in office because they split the districts so that they split the districts in a way to where Republican always wins. Because there is no way that a state that only has 20,000 people in it should have the same like influence of a state like California, who houses how many million people, and California and New York upholds our economy. And I do think we need to start looking at stop spending federal dollars for this nonsense. We do. I really do think so. I you know, I know it's been floated around by a couple of states, but for real, electoral college is racist. Like, it is what it is. Oh, I can't wait to have Governor Cooper. Okay. And he's going to win. He is. And now is a fine time to go ahead and look at your other means of citizenships, of passports. You can get a passport in DR. Portugal has one of the heaviest passports around. Correct, Fifi. Correct. And they made it confusing so that people didn't know where to go. And then the people that were in line, even though that the poll closed, they said couldn't cast their vote. It was so confusing. It was so much chaos. And that's what they love to do. They love to cause chaos so people don't know what to do. They do. But we see what's happened in New York with Mandami. His success rate is pretty damn good. Schools for kids, cleaner streets, violence is down, money is up, housing is more available. Now they're targeting affordability. They're actually putting locally owned grocery stores in New York City, and I'm from New York. So, like, it is what it is. And if Clinton went to Epstein Island 23 times and he raped somebody, he deserved to be in jail too. That's the difference. See how easy that is? Eric Swalwell, we got him out of here. These women came with these and these certain things were laying out. Okay, you need to handle that, but you don't need to be in office while you handle that. Get out of here. It's really simple. It's really simple. It's really simple. Voting matters. These are the races that are really important, primaries to watch. Your Senate and your governor races. Of course, we got North Carolina and Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Louisiana, Georgia, Kentucky, California, Iowa, Maine, South Carolina, New York, Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. You're not going to tell me about facts in New York when I have people that actually live in New York and are talking about how great it is. Even the rich people are coming out and saying, we're not leaving New York. I don't know why they were saying that. We're not leaving New York whatsoever. Okay. So please. We don't care who they are. We don't care whether you're a woman, a man, Democratic, Republican, independent. If you're being accused in this and you're being caught up in this, get out of office and go handle it. Get out of office and go handle it. But you can't handle it and make decisions for our country at the same time. That's distraction. See how easy that is? See how easy that was to do? It is very easily to do. It is so very easily to do. It is. It just is easier to do. Anyway, that is it for today. There's also a CNN investigation that is going on. I will speak on this. There's a CNN investigation going on. It's found that 62 million men are in this. 62 million men are enrolled in this rape academy. CNN investigation uncovered a hidden online network described by researchers as a global rape academy. And they're referred to as the ZZZ, where men around the world are gathered to share advice, tips, and videos on how to drug and sexually assault women. Yeah. They uncovered it. Definitely something you should go Google and go take a deep dive in. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty alarming. Remember, gas prices aren't going any lower. Your grocery prices are still high. Your energy prices are still high. Okay. Stay safe. Find a way. Thank you so much for joining in over here. Find a way to keep yourself informed without allowing it to rage bait you. Understand that this is who these people are, but know what's going on at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Know your facts. And it's okay to have respectful debates. We can have respectful debates, but what I'm not going to debate about is why you voted for Trump. That's what I'm not going to debate about. Because there's nothing in his policies that are making America great again. Because again, I'm going to ask you, when was America so great? Especially for Black people. When was America so great? Again, stay informed, stay in the know, find your happy place, be resourceful, find your community. Find your community, build upon that, educate each other, support each other, because it is going to take us, the power of the people, what happened in Hungary. It's going to take the power of the people. Okay? The power of the people. 50 Cent is actually a miserable person. He is. I know people around him. He's not as happy as you think he is. Because unfortunately, there are some things that money cannot buy. And that's inner happiness. But anyway, that's a whole nother story for another day. But anyway, thank you guys for attending Politics in Plain English, where we talk about current political events and explain what's happening, why it's happening, and what it actually means. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you here tomorrow. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.